Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin, a progressive psychedelic trance artist, a professional sound designer, and also a teacher for electronic music production. Today, I'm here to present Evo Genesis for Vital. These are 100 Psytech presets, and we're gonna dive deep into this preset pack today. First thing first, if you're impatient for an audio demo, you can use the time index and skip right to the demo. But first, a little word about the pack. Evo Genesis is the cousin, or it's kind of a brother cousin pack of Exogenesis for Vital that you might know. And Exogenesis, the idea, because there's always an idea. That's why I started Fractal Sounds, because before being a finished preset pack, it's always an idea, almost like an auto challenge. And the idea behind Exogenesis was sounds from another world. Exo means out, and Genesis means created from. So that's the idea behind Exogenesis. And Evogenesis, well, you still have the word Genesis, which come created from, but Evo stands for evolution or progression. So I thought it was an interesting idea, an interesting follow-up, although I wouldn't consider it's not a volume two. It's different because it's Psytech. I like to say that Exogenesis is for Psytrance, but you can definitely do Psytech with it. And it's kind of the opposite for Evogenesis. It's created for Psytech, but it's a great ally for Psytrance producers as well. So I'm going to present to you the sounds. We're going to do an overview, and you'll see that Exogenesis has much more of a fizzy, psychedelic, bleep bloopy feeling, while Evogenesis is a grimier take on the psychedelic sound. It's much more grounded, it's much more industrial, and even the leads are like just stuff is heavy in there, swampy. That's really the idea behind it. If you want to try it for yourself, there is a 15 presets demo available on the Fractal Sounds Discord server, and there's also going to be a link to Quantum Fold Wavetables Volume 2, because these wavetables have been used to create the pack. Most of the wavetables from the pack are coming from Quantum Fold, so I'll put a link there too. And last thing before we dive, if you like that kind of content, you like Vital, Psytech, sound design, that kind of stuff, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel. There's a lot of content like this on the channel already here, and also a lot of stuff coming up. And now let's dive into Evogenesis for Vital. So we are inside Evogenesis, inside Vital, and let's take a look at the pack structure. There's 20 bass lines, 10 basses, so lots of bass content, and it makes sense. Psytech is very bass heavy, and if you compare it to Psytrance, it's very standardized for the bass, so it's kind of hard to go a bit out of the box. But with Evogenesis, since it's Psytech, there's a bit more room for creativity. So there's still some very conventional stuff, but there's also some more creative stuff, as always, as you can expect from any Fractal Sounds preset pack. There's 6 acid presets. There's 14 atmosphere presets. There's also 15 what I call micro looped atmosphere. So these are not necessarily pads. They are not necessarily long stretching atmospheres, but they are some sort of looping and evolving lead. So this is really good if you want to go for a bit of a progressive touch for your music. So if you're going for a bit of a more Psytech that is evolving instead of constantly punching in and out some leads, it's going to make some great atmosphere and great loop of energy going on. There's 5 plug presets. There's 6 sequences. There's 6 stabs. We're all going to see this in more details. Let's start with the basses. I chose this one. It's called Heptagonal. And if we go into the piano roll, this is the sequence that we have, but you can sequence it in different ways, even longer notes or shorter notes. And the only thing I'm going to need to get things going is to sidechain this bass. So I'm using Duck. It's my favorite volume shaper for sidechaining. And this is the preset I used. You can use whatever sidechaining processing that you like. For basses, there's usually a bunch of macros. For basses, it's nothing crazy with the macros because we have the first one that is more meant to articulate it, and the other ones are just different alterations of the same bass. This one is called nonagonal, and same thing you can see. You have the first macro that opens the bass, articulate the bass if needed. There's a color macro. Burn is every time you're gonna see burn in the pack, it refers to more saturation. And bite, as always, every time you see bite, it refers to bit crushing. So this one you can use your own sequence, but in and of itself, it's going to cycle on this LFO and it's gonna have its own groove. This one is more simple. You can see there's not necessarily a sequence of filtering in anything, but in the whole preset pack, you kind of need to have also some more simple stuff, because if every preset is already pre-made for anything, it doesn't give much flexibility to the user. Yes, for sure, it sounds and it looks very cool. It helps sells the preset, but personally, in a preset pack, I don't want anything pre-made. I want some very complex stuff, but this type of bassline, I don't want to have to deconstruct a preset in order to use it too, right? So this is pretty standard. It's more a grounded, more choked bass. And if you want to open it, there's always this, there's always other options if you want to make it more like a saw wave. That's also something I would recommend if you want to give it the extra touch of making it your own. I would use this first macro and start fiddling with an automation, for example. So this one just give it the extra touch, and it helps complements the groove, and it's a bit of ear candy. It's very important to make it your own too. So the kick I'm using is called Alloy and is from the Cytec kick sample pack from Fractal Sounds. And I also brought a generic clap and add. Nothing too crazy, but it's gonna help preview a bit more in a context. But I want the focus to be on the Vital presets. So this is how it sounds. Moving on to another bass. This one is called Quadrille. And you can see that there's still that automation that I did, which I think is cool because, you know, you can just swap presets until you find something that you really connect for your track. Anytime you're gonna see a slide macro on basses like that, it's because there's a somewhat of a pitch slide, and you can either choose to keep it or just have it a bit more stable. But having those unstable basses, pitch slide basses in Cytec, it's quite frequent actually. This one is called Tetragonal. This one a bit less deep, a bit more dance floory. I know some artists that have a bit more of that style, and other artists, it's a bit more linear, very choked. So you have sort of both aesthetics in this pack. Finally, Trigonal. Really cool. And I want to talk about one particular bass. This toroidal bass is in the bass section, but technically it's not necessarily meant for a regular bass line, but it's more of a bass pad. Now let's talk about the bass lines. There's 20 of them. These are a bit more complete grooves, while the basses are more customizable. This is still customizable, but it's best used if you use the whole sequence, although you can still just use stabs of these bass and kind of make them your own anyway. But yeah, they are best used as whole bass lines. I'm going to cycle a bit quicker for these, and you're going to see the variety of bass lines that there is. Some are rolling, some are bouncing, some are just very deep, some are more dancey, dance floor, techie. Cool variety here. So like you see, with just holding one note, you have your bass line. If for some reason you like the timbre, you like the color of this sound, but it's, you don't like necessarily that filter movement, but you really want to use that, but not the filter movement, quite easy. You just go here, you're going to go bypass, and then it's yours. You can tweak it however you like. So that's the general idea for the bass lines. Now, in the lead content, we're going to cover the lead. We're going to cover everything that is up front. So you'll see, but there's some Psy and some tech and some Psy-Tech. It's all a blend, but once again, I wanted to cover a spectrum. I like to say that this bank is for Psy-Tech, but can be used in Psytrance, like Exogenesis for Psytrance, but can be used in Psy-Tech. But you're going to see a wide aesthetic of lead. This is Astroforensic. This is Dark Pulse. So this one is very tech, very industrial, almost on the verge of. There's a bit of DNB influence in this one, I can even say. Fast saws. This one's called Lysergings, and you're gonna see it's much more on the side than the tech side. Mechanical Rhino. This one is called Polygenetics. And this one is called Spectrogenics. Now, like I said, in the leads, there's some side, there's some tech. Now there's something that is much more techno-friendly, and it's the stab section. There's crab stab. Endodynamic. I'd say just this, like this warp, this FM, it's very typical of what Vital can do. Also, sometimes you'll have access to wet, so it's gonna be delay and or reverb. In some other cases like Dispatch, it's already baked into the preset. If you don't want to go for this, I'll show you just in case you're very new to Vital. You're gonna go in Effects, and that pinky thing here is the delay. If you want less of it, you're gonna go on the mix knob and adjust to taste. And if you really don't want it, you're gonna bypass it here and here as well for the reverb. And now we've got a pretty nice dry sound. Personally, that's what I like to do as a user. You know, I like to apply my favorite reverb, my favorite delay, but that's just me. But yeah, because I like to have that extra touch. But if you want, you can also keep this original one from Vital. This tab is called Suppressor. Now we're inside the acids, which are, you know, those are not labeled as leads, but they are lead elements. This is upfront stuff. In this pack and many of the Fractal Sounds pack, whenever you get an acid, most of the time it's going to be sequenced, but you can use the sequence or just use it as is. If you play it real quick, it doesn't really have the time to play the full sequence. And if you hold the note, this one's called Slice Necks. Sour Winds. Tektronix. Trip System. Turtleneck. Villainous. This one is pretty psychedelic. And that's it for the acids. Now, MLA, those are the peculiar ones. I chose to call them micro loop atmospheres, so MLA, because like I've said, these are like atmospheres, but that are not pads. There are loops that you can keep for a long time, make evolve. Personally, it's something I really like to include in the psychedelic techno I make. This one's called Acid Roller, and it could also have qualified for the acid section, but there's something about it that is made to be looped for a long period of time and evolving. Chest. Escape. This is Floaty. This one's called Kusa. This was Medina. This one is called Mud Roller. Orbital Dose. Osmosed. Pulse of the Swamp. Stranded. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yendu. So like you can see many ways to interact with the sound with every preset. Some macros will give you just a slight alternative, different take on the sound, and other macros will cause like a big chain reaction. Now, plugs, there's 5 of them. You know, on a count of 100 presets, you don't necessarily need more than 5 plugs for a SciTech pack. It's not a style that use plugs a lot like trance, for example, but it's still nice. Those are very great sound to have, and you'd be surprised how weird ways you can use plugs. You can use it for melodic stuff, wide and atmospheric plugs, or you can almost transfer that into some styles of mid basses if you know how to do it. So that's After Love. Chill Out. Pre-pluck. That's Give Out. Pox. Now, the sequences, there's 6 of them, and they sound like this. Sonic wins. Sweet Acidomine. This one also could have qualified for the acid section, but there's something that makes it a bit more of a sequence than purely acid. The glass ceiling. Toxicophysics. And we're almost done with the pack. All that is left is the atmospheres. It's always necessary to have atmospheres, weird atmospheres. There's stuff in there that sounds a bit more sci-fi. There's stuff that sounds a bit more synthetic, classic synthetic stuff. And there's some stuff that sounds industrial, more tech-friendly. This one's called Underseek, and it's definitely one of the, I think it's the most atonal preset of the pack. But if you put your favorite third-party external reverb, instant drone makes it an instant deep atmosphere. That was the last atmosphere, and that was Evo Genesis Psytech presets for Vital. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Been a while since I wanted to do more SciTech content. I did some kicks. If you need some kicks, check them out. I'll put the links. But yeah, beside kicks, I felt like I wanted to do something. It's not as widespread as Psytrance, but yeah, I wanted to do something, and that's why I created Evo Genesis. If you want to learn more about this, either the preset creation or just creating SciTech, there's currently a mentorship program that I run, and there's a SciTech masterclass. On there, there's right now, I think 8 modules, and each month there's a new module that is being added, and up until, everything is complete. But right now we covered leads, stabs, atmosphere, 2 different actually modules of atmosphere, bassline, kicks, drums. There's more stuff to come, but yeah, I'll put the link in the description if you need some help. And there's also a lot of sound design content. There's some free presets. There's some group lessons, some private lessons. So yeah, check it out if you need some help. And as always, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you in another video. Happy producing.